bits of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, a.k.a. PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Pop Turner Podcast. It's the podcast where digital discussions of the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, film, TV. We talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, it goes PD Beats. And I am joined by an actor. You might recognize him from a show called Marvel's The Runaways on Hulu with Ryan Sands. Ryan, welcome to Pop Turner.
Hey, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, the Marvel universe, it's a huge universe. You are part of that universe. So my first question is, how does it feel to be part of the Marvel universe?
Man, it's crazy. I'm a big Marvel fan. I have been since I was a little kid. So now to be a part of the universe in this way, it's crazy, man. But it's just a testament to having a dream and believing in it,
For people that don't know about Marvel's The Runaways, can you talk a little bit about the show? Talk a little bit about kind of the origin of the show, because it was comic before.
Right.
And talk a little bit about the character you play on it.
Sure. And I thought I might have had the comic out, but anyway, the comic was originally written by Brian K. Vaughan back in the early 2000s, I believe, 2002, and the premise was a group of kids who get together for their parents' annual charity meeting, and they just send the kids into the other room, and the parents have their meeting. One day, the kids discover that their parents aren't a part of a charitable organization. They're supervillains, and they're sacrificing teenagers. So as the kids find out that their parents are evil, then they start to discover that some of them have powers and different abilities. So it's a real kids versus the parents dynamic, and so that's what our show is based on, and it's very similar to the storyline in the first volume of the Runaways, but there's a few significant tweaks in the show. I play a character by the name of Jeffrey Wilder, and in the comics, Jeffrey Wilder is probably he's about as evil as they come. But what's really cool about the show is the show presents Jeffrey as a guy that he's a parent, he's a father, he's someone who did have a checkered past, but who's trying to do right now and be the best that he can be now. However, one bad decision years ago, just kind of has spiraled out of control, and now he's a part of an organization that he doesn't want to really be a part of, but it's kind of once you're in kind of thing. So he's more of a fleshed out character.
No, absolutely. I like to refer to actors like yourselves as storytellers. When did you kind of decide that you wanted to become a storyteller, and what was kind of a project that you worked on that really was it for you, where you're like, this is what I want to do?
Man, I got the acting bug bit me when I was a little kid. Star Wars, I saw Star Wars, and my mind, I was a little creative kid. I would just love to draw all day, and I was into the superheroes, like I said. And when I was presented with this world of the Force and Jedi and lightsabers and everything, it was like it just blew my mind. So, but I was just really, really captivated by this being presented with the world on screen, and I wanted to be a part of that in some way. And really, the first, I think when I didn't really chase the dream until I got out of college, because I was an artist. I kind of limited myself. Mm-hmm. And I said that maybe my career as an artist is a little bit more attainable than my career as an actor. And I put some limits on myself, which I would advise anyone never do. But, I think once I took those steps, when I said, this is what I've always been daydreaming about, this is what I've always wanted to do. And I started doing like independent films in the area. I was working with a lot of filmmakers out of Howard University in DC, and I think my first student film, just like even a student film, but just being a part of this production, telling the story that that we were presented with, it was just it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. So from my very first project, that was the one where I knew this is what I want to do.
Every project, no matter how long you've been acting for, every project that you're going to kind of be involved with, there's always going to be some kind of learning experience that comes with it. Whether it's who you're working with, whether it's kind of the style of the show that you're filming that you never really did before. What are some of the learning experiences that you've had so far with the Runaways?
Runaways, probably the biggest learning experience was something that I've never really been presented with, and that's working a lot with visual effects. Mm-hmm. And so there's an episode where, there's a giant, like 2-3 story drill that takes place. And I don't think it's any spoilers or a secret that the drill wasn't really there, but it's looking up and wow. And then, the magic boxes that open and close and grow from a cube of metal and people blasting things out of their hands and dinosaurs. As an actor, you've got to make that all real. Mm-hmm. And I never really was presented with that in my career. We didn't have a bunch of, CGI on The Wire,
Oh, no, for sure. You mentioned The Wire and a show that got a lot of popularity. And you mentioned before we went on, I mean, it's such an important show. What was that experience like, compared to doing something like The Runaways? I mean, The Wire was such a show that really kind of captured what's kind of going on in the streets and everything. And it must have been kind of interesting to kind of be in a show that, even though it's like fiction, it's pretty real.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Washington, D.C., which is right next door to Baltimore. Baltimore, Maryland, where The Wire is set. So I was familiar with the locale, but honestly, my first day of shooting on The Wire, I didn't realize I was going to be back. I didn't realize I was going to be a recurring character. I thought I was there for the day. And, one of my castmates is like, he told me, no, man, you guys are coming back. You guys will be, you're a part of this. And honestly, I don't know how that happened. Like how I went to set thinking that, it was over in one day, and it actually spanned a few years. But I didn't know what I was walking into, man. I didn't at the time. I didn't have HBO. I was really just getting started as an actor, so that was like starving artist mode, man. I couldn't afford HBO back then.
Yeah.
So, but I knew that the show was popular for some reason, and as I, started appearing on the show more regularly, I was really blown away by the quality of the writing. I was blown away by the skill of my castmates. And for a show that is gritty and as heavy as The Wire could be, I honestly had a great time working with those actors, man. We laughed a lot. It's something that it just makes the experience so much more special, that I actually had fun doing something that is significant and continues to have a place atop the TV Mount Rushmore,
There's a show on Showtime right now. We've had a lot of the cast members from that show on Popternative called The Chi. Have you watched that? If you haven't watched it yet, that should be that is amazing. And there's some people are comparing it a little bit to The Wire.
Yeah, I'm a few episodes behind, but been a little busy lately. But yeah, man, I'm a big Lena Waithe fan. I have been for some years, and there's got a little Sonia from The Wires on there. They're doing an amazing job. And it's just good to see a quality show that can make you laugh, make you feel something. So yeah, I'm there for it, man.
No, it's really, really good. I mean, I asked this question to a lot of people specifically that are in the Marvel universe because we've had Haley Levitt on the show, who's on The Gifted on Fox, and so not saying that like geek culture and comic book culture has not always been big, but if is it just me or has there been like a boom in the last 3-4 years?
Oh
Where
yeah,
I just find it's just like the conventions and the content. I just think there's been a boom. Do you kind of agree with that?
absolutely. It's really funny. It's really funny as someone that's the 80s were my that was like the prime years of me just being immersed in comic books and cartoons and back then, I mean, even before like the Tim Burton Batman movie, so we're still like kind of living off of Superman. But soaking up all of the Incredible Hulk shows, the Spider-Man live action show. It's funny how like this genre has become mainstream, but has grown so much. So it used to be just superhero movies, but now under the superhero umbrella, you can have a space opera, you can have a 70s espionage thriller, you can have a romantic comedy. It's like all these subgenres underneath this one kind of banner of superheroes, and I think it's exciting. And I think that at the core, a hero is somebody that can do something, has access to something, that has something that makes them unique, that has something that makes them special, and they tend to use that, whether it's reluctantly at first or whether it's a part of this. Oh, I have to do this from the jump, but
Yeah.
they use it to make the world a better place. They use it to stand up for people. They use it to fight injustice. They use it to right a wrong. And so I think that we need those stories, man. We need those stories, really more than ever. But yeah, I think that it's just going to continue to grow as filmmakers find ways to um, look at recent history. I mean, we had Logan, which was a hit, which was incredibly different from Deadpool,
Yeah.
which was a hit, which was incredibly different from say like Spider-Man Homecoming.
That was I was about to say that was the Spider-Man Homecoming was unbelievable. Like I loved it so much, man.
Likewise, that's okay. Look, this is how I get down. Spider-Man is
Oh.
my
Man, I always have I just have a motivational mug that just says, because I always have different mugs, and but like I have a Spider-Man mug, but mine just says today is the day. It's a bit of
yeah,
motivation, but
I got
if you watch previous episodes,
God.
of the show, we always have different mugs. But
Yeah.
no, what do you kind of think also about what I find very interesting is the Marvel universe, and I think I see yourself and I see other actors and actresses, you do a great job of interacting with the fans. I think that is very important. I think you have to do that. You know what I mean? And the Marvel universe is so massive, and there's so many, and I thought it was really cool the way you put it with the layers. There's so many more layers now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know about like, how does Ryan Sands what do you think about social media? How have you been kind of using it as a member of the Marvel universe? And do you kind of, I mean, the fan interaction is fantastic. You see it all the time.
Yeah, I've been like my social media game has been really weak for years. But, I'm as much as I enjoy like being in front of the camera and doing what I do, when I'm not being a character anymore, I'm still that introverted kid that wanted to draw all day. That's how I like to spend my time. And I generally don't think so much about taking a picture and sharing it. But over the last couple of years, I've realized that there are some things that are important to me, like I was saying earlier, about I just every chance I get, I hope that I could especially tell young people not to make this mistake that I did and put limits on themselves and not really chase their dreams when they have them. I realize that with social media, I get an opportunity to kind of inspire people and hopefully keep them from doing what I did, or just making sure that the message of dreaming and believing in those dreams and going after them is put out. So as somebody like myself that just wanted to draw, especially Marvel characters, but I have a love and respect for DC characters as well. But as a kid, like I was saying earlier, that just I would wear this shirt anyway if I wasn't on a Marvel show. I would have this mug anyway if I wasn't on a Marvel show. But somebody who really believed in a dream finally and went after it with everything, and now I'm in this world, and now I'm able to go to work with a smile on my face every day. I'd love to use social media in a way to kind of shed some light on that and hopefully inspire somebody else,
No, I 100% agree. Do you kind of think little things like that can kind of make decisions? I'm sure you nailed your audition for the Runaways, but it's like, oh, look, he draws, or oh, he does this. Do you think those little things I'm wondering if there's like a little bit of a,
No, that kind of came up after. That came up after the fact. I think when we had our first, we had our little meet and greet once everyone was cast and everything, and then I just walked up to one of my producers and I opened my phone and went to a picture, and I said, "Look, I just need you to know who you've cast. This is what I do in my downtime. Like this is crazy right now."
We see you working on something in the back there, right?
Oh yeah. That's actually I did that. It's a picture of Power Man, Luke Cage, like old school Luke Cage. But I did that a couple of years ago, and I just found it, and I'm gonna refine it now and put it in scan it and add some color to it and all that. That's what I'm working on now.
Now, because there's people that research you, they know a lot. Like they know it's out there that you're an artist. You've done that stuff. Have you thought about kind of taking that to the next level and not maybe taking a break from acting, but I mean, how do you balance it all? Like, how do you balance kind of being an actor, doing the illustrations? Like, there's so much.
Well, I think with the art, it was for years I wasn't really drawing much because I just dove into my acting career and trying to make that happen and trying to make it grow. And I wasn't actively working on my art. And it just so happened maybe 7 years ago or so, something like that. It was like I got invited to an art show just based on some little sketch I was doing. And it just really rediscovering the artwork was a really major thing that happened for me because it allowed me to create on my own terms. As an actor, you generally have to wait for somebody else to say yes in order for you to express yourself creatively in that way. I gotta wait for the audition. The casting director has to sign off, the producers have to sign off, the director has to sign off. So a lot of times, as a creative person, I was like, I didn't realize how much I needed that outlet. Mm-hmm. So I draw like whenever I can, whenever I'm not working. Sometimes it's stuff nobody will ever see, but it's just relaxing. It allows me to decompress. I'll throw on some good music or some 80s cartoons up on the TV, and I just
man, I'm all about that. We had I don't know if you remember. Well, like I'm sure. Like, do you remember the Cartoon Network shows? Like, do you remember there was a show called Ed, and Eddie?
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that? Yeah, I had a guy on my show, Peter Kalamis, and he does he's a voice actor, and he did like Goku and Dragon Ball Z, but he also did like one of the voices of the characters in Ed, and Eddie, this foreign kid named Ralph, and it's just so funny like how he can just change and do it. But the other question before we wrap up I wanted to ask you was I also had he'll be upset with me when I mention the Marvel Universe. I didn't mention him, so I'm sorry, Michael Nathanson from The Punisher, who has been on my show. He mentioned that, like yourself, like you're very into like Marvel geek culture. You've been watching our life. So when he goes so it's not a surprise that he will kind of be seen in a comic shop or going to a convention, and checking it out. Have you been recognized a lot when you're kind of going to places of that like culture? Like if you're in like a comic book shop, or have people recognize you? Oh man, Marvel Runaways. Like any stories about that? Oh.
A little bit. Speaking of comic book shop, this was just my pickup So I just just got from the comic book shop like 2 days ago. But
So was the guy at the comic book shop like, the Runaways?
every now and then. But I'm the people at the shop know me, of course. So we all, we Earth 2 Comics in Sherman Oaks, California. Shout out. But yeah, they they know me, so I tend to stay and talk a little while. But every now and then somebody will come in and while I'm there and like, hey, it's that look, and I'm dressed down like this or something, and Jeffrey White is always in a turtleneck or a nice suit. So it's like, wait, is that
Carl McDowell, who played TTD on HBO's Ballers, said when like he's recognized, it's when he doesn't want to be recognized. When he's just at the grocery store and like just picking up some milk, and they're like, "Oh man, Ballers!" And he's like, "Man, like I don't want to be recognized like this. I'm just wearing sweats and man."
It's humbling though, for somebody to take the time out of their day to come and say, "Hey, I appreciate what you do." Especially when you're somebody like me that I'm a fan of this stuff anyway. So the fact that somebody will come up and say, "Hey, it's really cool," or "I enjoy your work," man,
it's amazing. I mean, I don't think I talked about this before too with some like guys that were on Big Brother because they came back from the show and it was just insane, the photos and the selfies and everything. But like, I mean, unless, the only two ways is like I would ever say no to like an autograph or a photo is if someone literally like followed me to my house. Like that's don't do that. You know what I mean? And some people even say like, actually I don't mind that. But like if I'm at a dinner table, if I'm at a restaurant, if I'm at dinner with my family, like no. Catch me on the way out, but like don't come to my table.
Public bathrooms can be a little awkward too.
I didn't think about that one too. Yeah, public bathrooms. Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. But like if you're like walking in a mall, you know what I mean, and someone wants to snap a photo, I mean, you're gonna say yes.
Yeah, man. It's
part of the job, right?
Yeah, and again, I think it's it touches me for somebody to even care, for somebody to ask. Being a fan, I get it. So it's man, it's cool.
Well, we'll wrap up. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us, man. This was really awesome. And no, absolutely. Plug away. Where can people follow you on social media? What should they check out? Plug away.
I am at the Ryan Sands, just about everywhere. Facebook.
The Ryan Sands, not just Ryan Sands. You're the Ryan Sands.
Try to get a uniform over every platform, and so that worked out. That's my website, theryansands.com. I've been a little slow with updating, so I'm glad I said that because I got some work to do. But yeah, I'm on Instagram the most probably, and yeah, at the Ryan Sands.
Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative. So youtube.com/Popternative for the video episodes. If you don't want to see our faces, you can just listen to us anywhere you have podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, where popternative.com for more content as well. Until next time, this is the Ryan Sands and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter